Hi, Taurus, and welcome to your July 2022 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead of July. And as I'm coming to you, Taurus, after a bit of meditation, I am feeling this is one of the more important readings of the month and perhaps one of the most important readings of the year, this Taurus July 2022 reading. So, as usual, intuitive messages followed by a week-to-week tarot forecast and an extended reading on Patreon, which will be linked below. Let's dive into this. Okay, so July, Cancer season, moving to Leo season for Taurus. We really have to start knowing who we are, okay? There's something kind of ungrounded and unrooted about the energy I feel for you, and you're coming up onto this point in time where you have like the Uranus North Node in Taurus with like Mars approaching it into August. And it's going to really drastically change your perception of the previous choices made and also present to you an innovation or some type of way that what you've been so structured within for so long can be expressed. So the previously unexpressed aspects of you are transitioning and being prepared for expression. So prepare yourself, Taurus, that in the month of July, you might kind of feel that, okay, the career that I know I'm destined for, or the way of expression that I feel inside can no longer be placed aside or can no longer be interfered with. So any form of interference I feel in July is going to really crumble and fall apart. And I also feel that we have to know who we are. Okay, this is what I've been getting all day, Taurus, as I've been doing a few other readings today, and as I was going about my daily grind and meditating as well. In regards to Taurus energy, I kept feeling they have to know who they are. We have to really understand who we are. So what does that mean? Let me deconstruct that a little bit more. We know who we are, but do we know about our family tree? Okay. Do we know about our wants and desires in a state of sobriety, outside of distractions, outside of daily habits, outside of certain consumption habits that might veer us here, there, and everywhere? Do we know who we really are at this point? The identity crisis, the societal identity crisis, is at a peak here. And a lot of that is because this construct of identity is unnatural. Okay, identity and that which generates a certain identity is not really a real type of concept, kind of like money, kind of like a lot of things that humans create. It's unnatural, and it's taking the species or taking people away from natural momentums. So if you are resonating at all with any form of identity crisis, know that it's probably because your body is pushing you more into a natural rhythm, which would lead you to be existing outside of societal implements like identity, and therefore if you had a craving to meet some type of implement like identity, it would feel really hard, and it would feel really like you were in some kind of zero-sum game, or like you couldn't appease either side of the identity, or maybe it would feel very polarized. Okay, it would feel like, okay, I've got these two aspects of me, or I've got these two polarized paths, and I don't understand how they come together. Let that be a sign for you, Taurus, that means you are embarking on more of a natural, earthly, path. And perhaps also, as hard as it might be to see with North Node and Uranus in your sign, perhaps moving away a little bit from the, nucleus of human engineering or human social constructions or human, especially 20th century and beyond, like post-World War II societal constructivism, I want to say, or a constructionist approach to certain states of being, creating or generating a certain affiliation-based series of connections that lead identity to be a greater type of political mechanism. So that's just basically, I suppose, intellectual talk for, okay, we have these constructs that are not as old as we think they are. Okay, we have ancestors just seriously like 3 and 4 generations up who wouldn't get it at all okay, who wouldn't understand anything about these like identitarian approaches or about how, certain, I don't know, preferences somehow translate to a certain like elective process or something, or a certain choosing that we make in our own life. It's a very new thing. And it's very Rahu, it's very North Node, it's very Uranus, okay? And this is coming to a peak here with the Uranus North Node connection. Okay, only through understanding our deeper foundations, through understanding the greater karma, also the territory in which we stay, can we actually start to move and work with this North Node energy, this North Node Uranus energy, because there's a fakeness to it, you guys. I've got to be totally honest, and this can really be channeling through Taurus. And I think that everybody, regardless of what sign they are, can see ever since Uranus went into Taurus, which was like 2018, okay, some amount of false or imposed symmetry, okay, trying to get it perfect, being like such a perfectionist, kind of depriving nature's natural asymmetry in order to create or form a certain hierarchical power based on imposed symmetry. And now at this point, that not only is climaxing, but it's also, as it climaxes, it shows its true colors, or it starts to be a deterrent. Right? So we have a certain deterrent also that expresses alongside people who are super symmetrical, people who are, functioning within these identitarian precepts, and also the nature of change becoming something that is an inhibition as well, as we start to see past the 2020 Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn, that all of us want a new sense of stability and security. And this whole culture that was generating over so many years, about being everywhere, being totally ungrounded, being 17 different people, having so many different jobs at once, that it's not sustainable, nor is it stable, okay? So perhaps a social comparison between those types of cultures and a growth in psychiatric difficulty, okay, or mental illness or anything like that is perhaps visible. And now during this time, Taurus, coming into July, when we hit this big karmic decision point that everybody is facing, and will face again in January of 2023, this is kind of like a new kind of stability energy working with us that is not so connected to identity, but it is. Okay, it's almost, I want to say, a much more ancient form of identity focus or identity context. Has us really needing to know who we are and getting really solid on what we do and don't support. Okay? And there is certainly an argument for a greater neutrality or a greater, dignity within honoring different sides of things. But I feel that for Taurus in July, it's kind of like, do I commit to the previous stability, or do I start a new kind of stability, or do I adjust this as a sliding scale, like really pulling out of something in quite a majority way, yet still wielding that and kind of moving other places? There's a change in the scale of your commitments, and also the scale or the size of what you are holding in your life. So to take this down to the mundane, a little bit more simple, a little less geocosmic, I want to say, you could see in July that actually every single problem is solved as it relates to like your employment, job stuff, or career stuff, and you don't have to do as much. You don't have to try as hard anymore, and you don't have to overwork anymore. And the universe might actually put a little bit of a test in front of you and ask you like, okay, what does it mean to have so much more time? Also, you could see that you're getting lighter in a lot of ways, like you're just feeling less emotionally heavy. You're just feeling also you could see like a physical weight loss here as well. As all of this heavy, earthly, grounded energy of Taurus is being channeled up through Uranus, the North Node, and Mars, it's not a great picture, okay? But it's a long time coming, and it's nothing new. And I want to prepare you all, Taurus, for really leaving behind any type of like manic tendency to be like, I'm gonna gamble and win, or I'm gonna like be profitable to the millionth degree in this business. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm making a plan. You know, like these kinds of, like you can see with Uranus, Mars, and the North Node, which will be coming in August, and is building now. You can see a meaningless kind of scheming, or a meaningless kind of like profiteering and stuff like that. It depends on where it's at in the chart, but I mean, that can translate in a lot of ways. It's not just in such obvious ways, but that can be symbolic as well. So with relationships, you can be like, I'm going to experiment with 17 different romantic relationships. Ooh, crazy. Also, you could see just a rise in energy to date, or a rise in energy to have some type of romantic context, which is something that needs to be seen perhaps as a larger provision of energy from the universe, rather than just a ticket to like some type of long chapter of meaningless dating. Okay, I think that dating is right for some people here, but it's really not the best time for dating either. And it hasn't been since 2019, and I'm so sorry, everyone. I can't control what the transits do. But if you were single coming out of 2019, it likely means that you have a pretty large karma with being single, and that just might be the way it is for quite a while. There will be times when it's right again, and it's not wrong now to date. But for most people, this Aries stellium we've had, as well as this Taurus stellium that's building up, kind of makes things too immature for any type of real progress to be made through dating. It could be fun. It could also be somewhat dangerous for some people. Or it could just be frivolous. Or it could be almost like entrepreneurial dating or something, which really makes sense with like dating app culture and stuff. But like people might actually be like accessing their business energy line or their career energy line when they're like trying to date, and vice versa. This might actually be like the larger thing, is like people are conflating or confusing their energy sectors. Like they're trying to use their love energy to get work. They're trying to like use their business energy to date. They're trying to use their health energy to, I don't know, manufacture some type of reputation or image. It's like all skewed with the current transits for a lot of people. And that's also why it's not a great time to date, because there's just such a high likelihood of meeting a skewed person, or meeting someone who is totally imbalanced, and it could take a long time to actually like get to that, like underneath all of the layers of distractive personality traits. Also, I'm seeing quite a wide majority of people who are trying to date, or even trying to take on some type of new ambitious goal, or some type of really, really meaningful path without kind of having some stuff settled. Okay, to me, that's the main thing. And I'll probably make a separate video about the Uranus North Node conjunction that we're having. But it just seems like it's an attempt for progress or momentum in a state of unsettled events, okay? So you kind of have to settle things. And I think Taurus sometimes doesn't want to do this, because it can be like harsh. And, you know, if you have like a Capricorn in your life, or like a Scorpio or something, maybe you can request assistance for settling some stuff. But what I'm really talking about is like a fourth house stuff, okay? So, you know, who I am, right? Like true identity, who my family is, the experiences I've had, also past traumatic cycles or past pain still maybe being at the surface and not having been resolved to yet, an attempt to do something really wild, or to really move karmic energy around through dating, or through some type of greater relationship story. So basically, I think that this summer of 2022 for you, Taurus, is so tied to winter in the southern hemisphere, so tied to some type of settlement, or some type of settling, some type of settled cause, or some type of also past journey closed down or relinquished, in order to actually properly karmically fuel this huge kind of North Node path. Otherwise, you can have like hooks, or you can have things that compromise your energy for the entirety of the oncoming path. It's not that the oncoming path is canceled by like not having these things settled or by not having these things gotten through. For some of us, it's therapy. Okay, for some of us, it's some type of counseling or psychoanalysis, or even, in some cases where those things have been properly considered, astrologers, healers, Reiki people, sure. Even Eastern medicine, okay, kinesiology, chiropractic. I feel like this is also a good way to settle stuff or to be considered in conjunction with a greater phase of settling. And for some people, this is going to be what the entire year of 2023 is about. And I'm sad to see that this is what's happening, because we've had so long, with the pandemic, with everything that happened and all the time to ourselves and all of these stuff. We've had so long to get stuff settled, but we still have time. I mean, really until 2024, that is a greater context. But 2023 can either be like a complete year devoted to essentially like a scrapbooking and packaging stuff up appropriately, as it may not have been, or it can be a huge energy source for like the path. Okay, it's very polarized. And if you're like me and 2023 has come early, we might already go ahead and start settling stuff now, and certainly preparing for a greater level of capability and understanding. And hopefully I'm not just skirting around the energies, Taurus, but I'm getting to the core of it, because I also talked in the New Moon and Cancer video about how a lot of us are kind of skirting around the problems that we face, and we're not really seeing them for what they are, or we're not really getting to the core of them, and therefore they're prolonged. So to really get to the core of this, Taurus, I think that another great thing that we can do is understand who we were in a story as well. Who we were, okay, in that previous relationship. And really getting honest about that with ourselves and understanding it better. Because I feel that so many people are basically like victims to complexity at this point, or victims to like an ever vacillating kind of narrative generation, where it's like one day I'm the villain and the next day I'm the protagonist, and the next day I'm a side character, and the next day I'm an NPC, and the next day I'm in a different series altogether, and the next day I'm like, this is also a greater outcome of these transits that we're having from the Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces we had earlier this year, and we'll have again later this year. And then also from the Uranus North Node in Taurus. It's very ideational. It's very disconnected from the present. It's very profit focused. It's very roundabout. Okay, it skirts around things. It kind of struggles to get to the core, and it benefits through that skirting around. You know how sometimes, like in business, for those of you business people out there or not, those entrepreneurs that kind of skirt around stuff, or kind of barely do it, or kind of exist on the outskirts of the real industry, sometimes do really well, because they're not really at the nucleus of it all. Therefore, if anything goes wrong industry-wide, it's easier for them to like get away, or it's easier for them to change, or to not really be subservient to the difficulty or fabulous expansion that may happen. So it's like non-committal nature becoming a greater like life philosophy. So commitment issues, and then also like not committing our own identities to who we ever were. It's like a very Piscean thing, but also very indicative of Uranus North Node, because it's canceling out the more permanent nature of Taurus, and it's sending it into a more ethereal type of fiat realm. And I think really the solution to all of this, whether this is channeling for you in whichever sector or realm of your life, family, business, love, health, whatever, I think the timeline is a big counter to the negatives of this energy. So understanding where we've been and what we've done over the greater timeline. Maybe make your own timeline here of like the last 10 years or longer. Also, the journal. Okay, good. This is really good too, because it's putting these very ethereal sort of psychological ideas about ourselves, what we've done in our identity, onto a 2D plane, and we're looking at it. And this might help us to settle things, or this might help us to understand the truth of the matter, or at least the way that it might seem to other people, which can also be a great benefit during this time. And with this knowledge, and also with understanding who you've been all throughout it, like the connecting points of the whole situation, that's going to give you a great clarity into basically how you move forward from here, because it's such a huge question in so many people's hearts right now, is like, how the heck do I move forward from 2022? Okay. Anyway, Taurus, let's talk briefly about your week to week. That was a 20-minute little segment, longer probably than most of all the other readings this month. If it's resonating for you, definitely hit the join button below, or check out my Patreon page if this content is helpful. But yes, week 1, Taurus, you have the Knight of Swords reversed, rooted down by the Two of Wands. So in the first week of July, you want to slow down a little bit and look at your timeline, right? That's exactly what's going on there. Week 2, you have the Five of Swords reversed, rooted down by the Tower reversed. So the skirting around or the shortcuts aren't working. And also you're perhaps given the benefit of the doubt, or you're only given a slap on the wrist where you should have perhaps received a more severe consequence, but people understand why you faced what you did, and people believe in you, people believe in your story. They like your character and stuff is shining right now. So people kind of, have a greater trust for you. And I would really work with that instead of having to, like, for example, have like profits, or having to have like unnecessary levels of fame or fortune or anything like that. I would really work with like this greater sense of trust that people are displaying in you, and really redignify, okay, and strive for a greater level of dignity. Week number 3, the Six of Swords, rooted down by the Eight of Wands. Beautiful energy in the third week. A giving transition. Some of you are moving, some of you are changing territory, and I think all of you are in a symbolic way. Okay, so symbolically, there's a big change in territory in the third week of July, perhaps a big decision, and also a windfall. So like the wind is in your sails, perhaps, and you're getting a really good support by being on like the right path and being really recalibrated within that. Also, there's a likelihood of an emotional goodbye during the third week, or there's a likelihood of moving into a very karmic chapter. Six of Swords is my home card as a tarot reader. So I always know when I see that it's a really special time in the life of the person receiving the reading. So let that be a validation for you, Taurus, at this period of time. July 2022 is a very special time of your life, but also a very karmic time, and the decisions that you make will be very momentous for your entire life. Okay, week number 4, the Five of Pentacles, rooted down by the Ten of Cups. Family love and a sense of greater familial community will be your anchor, okay? Not money, not business, not profit. It's never going to be for anybody, probably, at this point in time. We're all kind of sick of that stuff, you know? And I think all of us are asking a really important question about what other ways are there, okay, other than this, like, life that revolves around, like, the sanctity of the currency or something, you know? So to me, it looks like family. It looks like greater relationships. It also looks like the fall of grudges, and it looks like the need for forgiveness. And because sometimes I find that people who are like really money oriented or really focused on independence as a result of currency either have a lot of grudges, or they're afraid of someone that they've done wrong, or that someone will come against them eventually. So they have this need to like have power through some type of universal lens, such as money. Okay. It's a very Chiron type of energy. That I feel to be changing for you, Taurus, and I feel that you can actually move much more into like Venus energy, to Moon energy, to Jupiter energy, and be much happier, okay? With things like money, business, and finance a little bit on the back burner, and certainly put into place. I'm certainly never advocating for people to lose track of their financial stuff, but it does seem like an unfortunate outcome to only be focused on that stuff now and moving forward into the oncoming years. So let's talk more about that in your extended reading on Patreon, Taurus. I'll talk about Let's get some more insight on the Tower, what that's meaning for you, and the Six of Swords as well. And let's get some more cards to understand what's happening there. If you enjoyed the reading, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I so appreciate it. Those are great free ways to support the channel. And then, yes, if you would like to get the extended, all of the other extended readings and weekly forecasts, I provide those on Patreon. And it's a very reasonable membership. So that'll be linked below and in the center of your screen. Let's do this extended. Much love, Taurus. Have a beautiful July. Bye.